Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Interfaith Paths to Peace. This is our 3 o'clock hour where we do community conversations. And I'm really excited to be hosting this conversation with Richard Whitlock called Black Ideas Matter. Today, we've got a really exciting group of people that are doing some amazing things and have great ideas about how we can create a more thriving community for everybody. And the purpose of this program is to uplift Black ideas and Black ideas for projects that they have or projects that they're already doing, and specifically as a community to hear those ideas. Historically, West Louisville and Black ideas have not been heard. And even when they are heard, they're often underfunded and often disconnected from other resources in our community. So this is the first of 2 conversations. On October the 28th, 3 weeks away, we're going to have this same conversation where we'll have Black innovators talking about their ideas. So we really hope you'll share this, listen to these ideas. If you are white, we want you to listen, and we want you to be thinking as you hear these ideas shared, how can you help make connections or provide resources? We're going to invite all of our participants to write their emails or some way to contact them. So if you would like to hear more or you'd like to connect with them, I'm going to invite all of our innovators that are sharing ideas to put your email address in the chat box on Zoom. And then if you're okay with it, I'm going to copy those over to the Facebook page so that those of you that are watching over Facebook Live can also have the names of and the email addresses of those who are sharing their ideas. So what the process is I'm going to you'll be listening to these ideas, and then we'll have some time for questions of clarification from those of you that are on Zoom, or those of you that are watching in Facebook Live. You can ask a question in the comment section. So I want to turn it over to Richard. Richard, I have so appreciated getting to know you and listening to all your amazing ideas and also the things that you've been doing in our community. I also want to congratulate you on being Interfaith Paths to Peace Social Justice Peacemaker of the Year, and appreciate all the amazing work you've been doing in our community. You're a perfect person to host this panel. So Richard, welcome. Introduce yourself a little bit more and talk about why this is so important for us to be having this conversation. Richard, we're not hearing you. I wasn't hearing you.
I couldn't hear him. I think he may have been muted.
Yeah, I think you're still... I've got you on 2 places here, Richard. But we're still not hearing you.
Now, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you now. Thanks,
okay.
Richard.
I don't know. The reason why I think this conversation is so important, Black Ideas Matter, with myself and my friends, is because it's been a lot of talk in the city about equity, inclusion, and diversity, right? And this is what the inclusion and diversity looks like that leads to equity, right? People being introduced to people that they didn't know in 2019, let's say, right? I make sure that I always network with people in the first 3 or 4 months of every year. I find new people to work with in the first 120 days of each year, and I usually work with those new people each year. And I've been able to expand my network by opening it up the first 4 months of every year. And with what we had going on in this city with civil unrest and the Breonna Taylor situation, I knew there would be a lot of movement, and I wanted just to be able to connect people. Jabril and I, we go back a decade. LeBron and I go back a decade. Brad and I, we've been doing things in the community for 8 years. Even Tay and I, we met like 5 or 6 years ago. And I all see us doing great things during this movement and in this time. And I got the opportunity to run in you, Judd, and I let you know that I had some friends. It's not just me. Uh, I'm not the only one doing something in the community. I know some other dope people. I know some other brilliant people. I know some other great people, and we all in the same boat. Really, we want to expand our network and get to know a new audience of people. We know the people and from the community. It's time for us to get to know other people. And to the other people that's on the line, Louisville is one of the top 5 segregated cities in the United States of America, and that creates a cultural segregation. And that's also true when it comes to our organizations. And we're trying to bridge that gap today.
That's great, Richard, and thank you. And thanks to all of our presenters. We're going to give you a chance now to introduce yourself, share your organization, and then in 3 or 4 minutes, if you would share your idea, or maybe it's the project you're already working on. And again, we're inviting those that are listening to be listening for how you can help make connections and provide resources. Again, their email addresses will be put into the chat box, so you can make contact with them if you want to follow up. You'll also have a chance to answer questions. And another reason, there is this concept called redlining that has to do with community development funding. We often find that there's a redlining that has happened geographically as also happened in funding of nonprofits. So there's been just several nonprofits that often get a lot of the resources, and there's a kind of a racial equity lens that we're wanting to put on funding for innovative ideas. So everybody, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate your time and energy and efforts. And for the community that's listening in, please make notes and reach out to these innovators to see how you can be helpful and supportive. So Richard, if you want to invite everyone to share, and you'll have to unmute yourself, and you've got 3 or 4 minutes to do that.
Well, I like to go ladies first. So it'll be Miss Tanya Trombone, and then Miss Asa, and have them really introduce themselves and those organizations and one of their ideals. I think it'd be great if they go first. Tanya, you go.
Tanya, you'll have to unmute yourself there. You're still muted.
Sorry, you guys. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanya Trumbo, and my paying gig, I'm a teacher. I work for Jefferson County Public Schools. I'm a special ed teacher. I work at a behavior school here. I've been working there. I think this is my 8th year. I've been in education for about 20 years now. Well, saying that, I'm part of several different community organizations that I have helped co-founded or founded. A couple of those being the Showcase of HBCUs, which is a college, we put on a college and career fair here in Louisville, Kentucky. And with that program, we are trying to assimilate minority students back into the fold of going to higher education. I am not an HBCU grad. I actually graduated from the Universities of Louisville and the University of Kentucky. However, most of the people that sit on our board have attended an HBCU. However, my job with that program is the connection between Jefferson County Public Schools, as well as we shipping kids from Kentuckiana, so bridging the gap between Southern Indiana and all of Kentucky. And we make sure that we recruit we reach out to all of the HBCUs as well as some colleges in Kentucky to recruit our students, to help them to understand that they too can go to it, to higher ed. It had gotten kind of lost in the shuffle there, but since the program has been back in the market, the numbers are going back up as far as Jefferson County students going, minority students going to college, attending college. But right now with COVID, we have to do a virtual college fair. So that is in the works. It's a little different because of the social distancing. So getting, the recruitment it's a challenge right now, getting people to come on virtually to do this HBCU college fair, but it is in the works at this time. So we are doing a fundraiser for that at this time. Also, I work with the Voters Coalition, which is a grassroots organization that came out of the protests. We took advantage of that time to start registering people to vote. Also, getting people registered for the census. I am working with Antonio T. May Taylor, who is here in Louisville, Kentucky. And we are about to do a march to the polls where we walk from Jefferson Square in Louisville, Kentucky to the Yum Center so that we can, on the very first day of early voting, we don't want to wait to the last day. We're going to go that day and we're going to start voting, getting some of those young folks who have been down there at the protest, getting them to vote. Also, LeBron and also Jabril, who are on here right now, I am the co-founder of ICANN, which is the Independent Community Action Network. We have been in the talks with LMPD, specifically the Black Officers for Change. And we are trying to start dialogue. We have started dialogue on how we start the healing process here in Louisville. We also have started a men's group with Black men called The Feast. We bring the men in, we feed them. If you would like to send a donation for that, you can also send a donation for that as well. But we feed them every Tuesday, and with that, we are sitting down with the police officers and other Black men in the community to begin understanding when we talk about equity. What does West Louisville look like 5 years from now if development begins? Okay, because there is a lot of dilapidation, and just West Louisville has almost been like the stepchild here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Tanya, I don't mean to cut you off, but right now we're just doing introductions.
Sorry. Go ahead, because I was about to go in. Go ahead.
It's okay. We just doing introduction right now. People just want to know your name, your organization, and the big idea you working on. And we plan on getting to all that, Tanya. So I ain't cutting you off. Just say something.
No, you're not. Because I'm sorry, because those are several different organizations that I'm working with, and I was telling you those ideas. So it's several things, so the Jabril now will pick up on some of those things as well. So go ahead. I apologize. Asa, I think it's on Asa.
All right. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Asa B. Coleman. I am the co-founder of Coleman Prep Academy. We are a private school. We are opening here in January, starting with early childhood. So 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and kindergarten. And each school year after that, we will be adding more grades until we get to 12th. So in addition to that, we have quite a few things that make us different. One thing that I am most excited about, aside from the early childhood, which I think is really a big deal, providing that type of education, that early learning for our students, but also offering high school completion. So there's about 10 things that make us really different. Of course, we have a website, so please check it out, colemanprep.org. That's it, at least for introductions.
Jabril. You got to cut your mute. You got to cut your mute off.
How's that? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
All right. Peace and blessings, everyone. My name is Jabril Israel. I'm an artist and an activist. I'm also the founder of a foundation called Arts and Activism. I wrote a book called Ali 400, subtitles The Blueprint to Saving the World, Positive Hip Hop, One Community at a Time for Dummies. I'm also a member, actually CEO of Charitable Affairs, the Universal Planning and Development Corporation. Our corporation was specifically chartered to, well, basically it has the power to create an unlimited number of LLCs and or nonprofit endeavors for the sole purpose of advancing the civil rights struggle. I just got hired on 3 weeks ago. The corporation's only about a year old, but the founders of the corporation do have a great interest in bridging the gap and finding new and cutting edge alternatives in terms of cutting edge, community sensitive social services. I like to use hip hop to real troubled youth into a conversation, try to redirect them into a positive course.
We lost audio with Jabril. So Tay, could you go, and Brad, can we get a share from you on your Facebook page? Can we get a share?
Become that. But the Shock Therapy Diversion Program is a hip hop oriented program designed to get youth to start healing on the inside and redirect that energy into something positive. So basically they have to commit, in order to be a part of our program, they have to commit to giving us a spoken word poem talking about their traumatic experiences in life, and or a rap song which details their traumatic experiences. We use that for the premise, for the foundation of a 30 to 50 page ebook. I am an Amazon #1 bestseller, so I know how to make anybody become an Amazon #1 bestseller the same day that they release. That's something that's integrated into our program. And basically, by virtue of writing that book, we start the processes of self-healing, start to get that energy and all those emotions redirected into something positive, which also turns into a digital marketable commodity. So if they're not in business for themselves, we turn them into an entrepreneur at the same time. One critical element that's pertinent to being a member of the Shock Therapy Diversion Program is that participants must commit to transforming themselves from what are deemed as menaces to society into the actual saviors of society. And so, Universal Planning and Development Corporation does a lot of different things, real estate.
Can you all hear Jabril? If you can hear Jabril, give me thumbs up.
No, we lost him, I think.
Okay, so Tay, why don't you go ahead and go next? And Brad, can we get that share from you on your Facebook, man, so we can get more of an audience?
I try to share. It says only the host can share this meeting.
Share it on my Facebook. Go to my Facebook. I've already shared it and shared it from her if you could.
Okay.
Go up, Tay.
What's good? My name's Tay G. I'm not really part of any, community-oriented organization outside of LouLab Hip Hop and Arts Collective. I'm a founder in that. But that's not what we're really here to talk about today. I consider myself a radical and a revolutionary. And I don't say that lightly. I say that because I've been, fighting for Black liberation and the liberation of working class people for the past 9 years. Been trained in that by amazing organizers, most being elders in the Black community and younger Black women out in New York and internationally. I've done work here in the city with Amped, just like Jabril, using hip hop to educate students in JCPS as well as the Youth Detention Center. And recently I've been working a lot, not only with the protests downtown and other specific locations as far as direct actions, but really delving into the housing situation here, and more specifically than that, gentrification. My ideas are around how we build, one, how do we stop gentrification? How do we stop evictions that are going on right now, or will come as soon as the set out freeze is over? But how we transform the Vision Russell project that we know is gentrification into a project that is for and by and owned by the people in the Russell neighborhood. And with that same goal spreading across West Louisville, I have to say we know that they're not just coming for the Russell neighborhood. The Russell neighborhood is going to open up the rest of West Louisville. So that's where my focus has been recently, as well as some community gardens that I'm helping design and build. Yeah, I appreciate being here. Appreciate the invite, Richard. And it's nice to meet, both the women that spoke before me as well.
LeBron.
What's going on? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is LeBron C. And I wear a lot of hats. And like I like to tell everybody, I love my community. I'm a part of the NFAC, part of Universal Planning Development. I'm a part of anybody that's out here trying to do something. But I have contacts and resources on all sides, and I'm here to be a part of a team that's ready to change the community. We've already done a lot of prolific things in the community, and I think that us working together, we can do a lot more. Such issues that we want to deal with is the violence that's going on in the streets. We want to put a community engagement piece together. Currently working on, as a matter of fact, this weekend is a festival of the 9th through the 11th at the square, Brianna Square. The 31st, we're working on a large trunk or treat event, and we want to collaborate with everyone. It's going to take everyone to work together. If one person had the answer, then we wouldn't have any problems. But we still have many problems, and it's going to take a lot of us to handle these problems. So hopefully I appreciate Rich calling the situation together, and I know pretty much everyone that's on here work with them all in some sort of capacity. So I'm with everyone that's on this call 1,000%. So whatever we can put together, let's put together and help our community.
Brad, you up next, and then Miss Mary Lee.
All right, can you hear me? Am I clear? All right, my name is Brad Harrison. My day job is actually what I'm doing right now. My day job is I own a small courier service, so I'm out on the road now, taking care of some business. But my passion business is Urban Max Media. So I started a media company about 5 years ago, and it consists of a website and now a radio show. And the goal of the radio show and the website is to highlight Black excellence and Black positivity. And the reason that's so important to me is because I believe that images play a huge part in the culture that people consume and the culture that people live out. In our community, my main focus now is changing the culture, because we're in a culture now where we're up in arms, as we should be, when law enforcement or someone from another race harms us. But when we harm each other, that person is certified as a real N-word. You know what I mean? So we have to change the culture of how we act and how we treat each other. And without that, we're going nowhere. So that's my focus with our people right now.
And Miss Mary Lee.
Hey, I am actually here as a listener more than as anything else. I am trying to get involved here in Louisville, so I be here.
Okay, and also, what to some of the people that's online that don't know me personally, my name is Richard Whitlock. I have a nonprofit called the Gap Felony Prevention Program, and while I'm also working on an anti-violence effort called the Louisville Peace Project, and it's a huge effort. It's definitely going to be a collaborative. It's gonna consist of like 25 people doing anti-violence work, and it's something that Judd don't even know. I plan on calling these anti-violence workers the peacemakers, and it's a project that I've been working on for years. I presented it to Louisville Forward in 2018, but we came a little bit short of getting the grant. It's $1 million anti-violence initiative, and I really see, just like LeBron said, stopping the bleeding is the #1 priority in the Black community right now. It's not saying that gentrification and economic development isn't important, but if I was gonna say to some people outside the community, if the help that we need immediately is definitely the help with the stopping of the bleeding.
You are 1000% correct.
Thank you all for your, just so many things that people don't know that all of this great stuff's going on. And so that's what this is about. A question I have for you all is, what do you need? How can people be supportive of your idea and the programs that you're working on? So if we want to go in the same order, and you can talk a little bit more about what specifically do you need, and feel free to share some of the challenges, like what are some of the challenges that Black social entrepreneurs face in Louisville? I mean, what's going on structurally? So not just how can we help you with your idea, your project, but what can we do structurally so that there's equity when it comes to funding, it comes to connections? What do we need to do as a city so that Black ideas can be equitable and compete with white ideas? So any of your thoughts, if we want to go in the same order, that would be helpful.
I don't think we have to go in any kind of order, Judge. Just anybody that wants to go, whoever we hear first, that's the person that'll speak. And I think that's a great question as well. So I'm open it up.
But we should also, if I can, I think we should also make sure we leave space for the Black women to speak first. You know what I'm saying? So we don't.
Lovely.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, if any of them want to go first, go ahead.
Asa, go ahead, sweetheart.
Okay. All right. So the quick answer, the short answer, we are looking for funding, and we also need a location. That's what we are working on. I hold a Zoom call about once a week with my steering committee to kind of figure out exactly what we need to do and how we need to get there. In general, our program is focused on our community. Of course, we are open to everyone, but my purpose is to bring this new branch of educational excellence to Louisville. Some of the things that we've spoken about here and listening to the other ideas, a lot of that is rooted in or can be fixed with a found education. And that's kind of my purpose, right? To bring that to our communities. And of course, we have plans to expand later on. We're going to focus on like parent engagement, because that is going to make or break your school, but being very one with the community and the parents, but also having partnerships. So partnerships and sponsorships would be things that we could use in regards to building our program up and getting it out there to the community. Another part of it is just really marketing. I'm not from Louisville. I did go to HBCU, went to Howard, went to George Mason, and now I'm actually working on my doctorate from University of Louisville. But being a transplant to Louisville, that's kind of my challenge. making sure I'm meeting the right people, because I'm doing this for the community here. You know, and now I'm invested in this community, even though I was not born and raised here. So that's important. You know, whoever's out there who's willing to help, let me know. Like I said, we have a Zoom call about once a week on the steering committee. We're still looking for board members. But the short answer is funding and a location between now and January. Of course, I would love to find my forever home. I technically found it, but it's $3 million and we don't have $3 million. But we are willing to find a space that we are able to grow into, or at least have now, and then of course, grow from there. But there's so much I could say, there's so much I wanna say. You know, there's a lot of reasons why this is important, even into the social, emotional piece. You know, with the violence, that has lasting effects on children, and it affects their education too. So one part of our program is to have mental health professionals in our building, not someone that comes here and there, but to be in our building, to be part of our staff, so that our students are able to kind of address that hurdle right there immediately and feel supported. And again, bringing in the community and the parents. So there's many levels to it. There's a lot on our website that, you know, I've purposely put out there. We are holding a Q&A on next Monday, October 12th at 6 o'clock. That's also a Zoom call to answer whatever questions potential families have for us. Yeah, I mean, there's so much. Like so I can talk all day, but I think I hope that answers the question that was asked. Solutions. I think our program is a solution to a lot of the problems that our community is facing, so to speak. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Asa. That's beautiful. Yeah, beautiful, very holistic work. And again, for those of you that are just joining us on Facebook Live, what we're doing is listening to Black entrepreneurs and their ideas for how to change our community, how to create a community that we all want. So I'm encouraging you to make note of the email addresses of those that are speaking. Encourage you to reach out to them if you have connections or resources or some way to move these ideas forward and support those ideas. If you've got questions or comments, please add them in the Facebook chat, and we can bring those into conversation as we go. Who should go next? Anybody want to go next?
I like to share, because I'll be real short. When it comes to needs, what I think all grassroots Black nonprofits need is we need strategic partnerships, right? Strategic partnerships with larger nonprofits, $1 million, even nonprofits is over $250,000. We need those seasoned nonprofits that actually want to partner with us, grassroots innovators, right? And that's what Black Ideas Matter really look like to me. Also, when it comes to the equity piece, this is something, if I get picked, I'll be suggesting this to the community foundation. But if we be honest, what equity looks like in the nonprofit sector, it has to be ratio to population, Judd. So whatever percentage of the population, I believe we 26% of the population. Black organizations need to be 26% of the funding of these foundations, of the Brown Foundation, of the Community Foundation, all the $1 million foundations in Kentucky. Though at 26, especially here in Louisville, 20%, whatever percentage we are of the population, we need those funds available for Black organizations. And the challenges that we have is really connecting with funders and connecting with funding and having an opportunity to present what we're working on in the background. And the need is not just funding. Now we do need funding, but we also need training. We need help when it comes to developing curriculum and workshops. And that's what something that I know organizations like Restorative Justice, they can be a tremendously aid if they come in the community and say, hey, we're going to offer some workshops to you all so you all can take this work to the next level. And when it comes to solutions, I really feel like what we're doing today meeting new people, meeting people that we haven't met before, meeting people that don't look like us. We all in the same community. We all in the same city, and just really curving that cultural segregation that exists in the nonprofit in the community world.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. You articulate that so well. What other folks jump in and share? What do you need? How can we help? What are the systems that we need to create to be supportive?
Let me jump in here real quick. And it's funny you asked because I told myself earlier this week, I said, you know what, I'm going to stop working, my day job as much because I don't need to. My kids are grown. I'm just on the road just because I guess I want to be. But it really put my focus on making this media company larger. So I asked myself earlier this week, what do I need in terms of doing that? Because now I just do a weekly radio show. I rent space at a studio, and I produce it there. This week I decided I just want to do my own studio. So I want to do my own studio because coming through this Breonna Taylor chaos and different chaos in our community, there's become a need. The public has built a need for Black media. So the public wants Black media. So I want to be able to give that to the public, 24 hours a day, as well as train youth on how to put out positive images. So I asked myself how I was going to do that, and I'm looking at buildings and spaces. I said, you know what? I don't even need that. All I want to do is I need to find a reasonably priced trailer. The camper trailer, the ones you put in the back of a fifth wheel. I was looking at a 2003 J-Core earlier this week, but they have the trailers equipped with the living room, the bathroom. It's equipped. I'm going to take the furniture out of it, leave the bathroom, and turn it into a media studio. And if anyone knows anyone that has one for a decent price, or anyone even wants to donate one that's still in decent condition, let me know, man. And that's all I need to get started at home.
That's great, Brad. That's very practical. And out in Louisville, there's got to be a trailer somewhere, right? So put the word out. There's got to be a trailer. I see them all the time. So come on, they're just sitting in somebody's backyard. They're not even using them. They're just rusting. So let's get Brad a trailer. That's not hard. Let's make that happen.
Well, what should I say?
All right.
What should I say? Camper trailer.
Yeah, camper trailer. Yeah, let's make it happen. Bingo. Let's do it. Y'all put your resources out. So let's make that happen. Who else wants to share? Thanks, Brad.
I'd love to share. Can everybody hear me? I know you guys couldn't hear me earlier.
Yes, we got you.
Okay, great. So take the work that I do, for instance. My book is predicated upon the premise that the community of people that produce hip hop are critical in terms of the equation of saving our world. Why do I believe that? One of the biggest fights that I have in the African American community is de-escalation of tension, solving and making sure conflicts don't become violent. I spend a lot of time down at the square. I tell people, keeping my people from eating each other. It's literally like they want to eat each other. And what I do to try to counter that is I use hip hop energy, right? So like with reaching the youth, we did a dinner last night and one young kid was there, about 23 years old. He stood up and he laid into us and said, what are you guys doing to get out there in the street and really reach these youth on these corners? I'm out here on these corners. I don't got any felonies. And I'm really trying to get these guys to come out to something positive. And he kind of shook us. It kind of shook us because we were trying to do something nice and peaceful and the guy was really excited and upset. And I tried to explain to him, one, that he's right, that we need more people like him. We need to get out here in these corners and reach these youth. But what method of communication do we use to actually break through to them? For me, it's hip hop. And I have a plethora of positive hip hop artists that I'm putting on display. I'm doing a 3-day concert this weekend with no money. A 3-day positive hip hop cultural economic revolution with no money. I've got a jazz band. I've got free food for any and everybody that wants to show up. We're doing a cook-off all weekend. I have over 30 performers, all performing for free, all doing nothing but exclusively positive art. I have no money to pay them. And they're extremely effective at what they do, at breaking through those barriers and reaching people that are difficult to get through to, bringing these kids into the conversation. One of the youth that I'm working with, his name is Blaze, and he just signed a record deal, but he's 21. And his style of music is called universal hip hop music. This guy's got a niche for making positivity not only attractive to youth in the inner city, but making it feel great. Good Lord, I have a talent for making it exciting and attractive and making people interested in it. He can really make people feel great with his music. I have no money to pay him. I've got a jazz band performing Saturday. There are a number of bands I'd love to have him perform. I got an 8-piece band performing for no money. I've seen the work that we do erase cancer in kids. First student I had at Western Middle School, little white kid. His mother and grandmother were there the first day, pulled me in the room with my director, said, we don't expect him to live past he's most certainly not going to survive the school year. And the only reason we want him in this class is so before he dies, he can have the experience of feeling like he had something to do with hip hop personally in his life. Good Lord, little white kid. At this point in time, Eminem is the height of the hip hop world. So I go in, I said, don't worry about it, I got it. So I get in there with him. I say, who's your favorite rapper? He says Eminem. I knew it before I asked him. I said, well, what's your two favorite Eminem songs? He gave me 2 songs. I said, listen, we're gonna take that best song. We're gonna memorize that song. We're gonna memorize it until you can perform that song every bit as good as Eminem. And then the next week, we're gonna come back and we're gonna do it better than Eminem. And then we're gonna take from Eminem everything that we want, and when you're gonna take it home, you're gonna put your own twist on it, and you're gonna have a style better than Eminem's. He believed it. He had leukemia, scoliosis, a number of cancers. He couldn't sit up straight. All his cancers erased. All of them went into remission. He wasn't expected to survive that year. He survived 7th, 8th grade. He would walk to my class once he graduated and went to high school. He would walk from school after school and come to my class. I've seen this thing save people's lives seriously. I don't have money to pay people. I need to not only be able to put these productions on, I need to be able to offer these artists a stipend. These artists that are so effective at this work, they don't have platforms or viable revenue streams. I've got a guy in Florida who's globally renowned, still working a 9-to-5. Still working a 9-to-5. There's no money for these healers that are out here in such an abundance in our community. But we need to elevate them so our local youth can see them, put their hands on them, and actually have a chance to follow them, if that makes sense.
And Jabril made me think of something I like to interject, is that you have projects, Judd. Projects, you have programs, you have works, and you have efforts, right? And the difference is a project will be a series of programs, right? And those things are grant writing things, right? A program will be a singular program, right? The difference between a work and an effort is similar to what people was talking about. A work is something that you may break even. However much money it takes to do it is how much money you take to get from it. And an effort is something where you're not going to make any money. You're actually going to lose money doing it. And those things really need to be categorized in our community so we can know the difference between a project, a program, a work, and an effort in the community. And Tay, I'd love for you to go next, man, because I just see you over there waiting to say something, man.
Yeah, you already know, bro. As far as needs, I'm not part of any organization, but some of the projects that I'm working on, we definitely have some needs. And of course, the top one is funding. We need money to do all of these projects. The second being hands. If people can, follow me or whatever, when we go to build these community gardens and stuff, when we go to do some of the other projects, we're going to need people to help build those. we're working off a very little budget, if any budget, or just off of what we got and what we can offer. And then mines, I think, you know, I'm not part of any organization. I'm anti-capitalist, so I see the nonprofit world very just it's an extended piece of capitalism. And that's not hating on anybody who is starting an organization or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm down to work with everybody. I come to this work humbly. But that's just where I come from. So as Richard was saying, I'm more about the projects and making sure those projects get funded. And a lot of those projects are very community oriented. We need more people there. Excuse me, hold on.
We might have lost you there, T.
Yeah, I think we lost him. Why don't you just go ahead up, LeBron? We can't hear you, LeBron.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. The question is, you know, if anybody forgot, is needs, challenges, and solutions.
Right. First of all, it's financing. And everybody said that it's going to take the financing to fund these situations. Another is resources. Resources are needed, whether it be buildings, like Brad just said, a mobile home. Also, you know, tangible products and services are needed, whether it be grant writing, advertising, whatever folks can bring to the table. And also, we need to work together. There's a lot of folks that's doing the same works. It's just a separate situation. So if we, you know, working together is the best way. A man told me a long time ago that it's easy to tell one person no, but it's hard to tell everybody no. And I think if we start going into more, you know, meetings or collaborative efforts, then they won't be able to tell us no. And that'll also go into this next piece, which is we need to stop separating the money, because when everybody gets a small piece, everybody just gets a little bit farther, and then they need more. So that's where that teamwork comes in, and that's where we look at and we end the gatekeepers that's going on. There's a lot of gatekeeping that's been going on that we need to end, and it needs to be fresh wind and fresh blood. It's fresh ideas out here, just like that's on this call right now. And we need to stop giving the money to the same organizations that keep doing the same things that have us in the same position year after year after year. Because some of these organizations get millions of dollars, but that goes towards salaries and numbers versus the real issues. And same practices should start collaborating together. There's too many people doing the same things. And so that separates the money. Because if I just look at everybody on this call, we need everybody on this call for everything we're talking about. I was just writing down notes, just looking on this call. And then just look at the team effort I'm talking about. Because ASA, we need the counseling in the communities. At the same time, we need Brad with this media going around. With me, as far as community activism and, you know, and doing events and things of that nature. Rich, we need them peacemakers, man. We need that to be established. Jabril, hip hop is that 18 to 60 is hip hop, and that's what's running the country at this time. It has the capability. That's that sleeping giant we need to wake up. And then and Tay came in with the community gardens. We need that. Now just imagine all these ideas are great ideas, and imagine all of us helping each other work on these ideas. So then I'm helping Rich with the peacemakers while he's helping me with this event over here, while we helping everybody's looking for Brad a mobile home, and Jabril, we putting artists on the stage for the situation this weekend, while Asa's getting the counseling together. I mean, that's the way it's got to work, y'all. We got to stop working separately when we're all going toward the same situation. We just need to play our parts. Everybody in this plays different parts. while we're doing everything, Brad is riding around the neighborhoods, putting it all out and if we look at it, there's millions and millions and millions spent, and it doesn't take $1 million to get a mobile home. Look on the marketplace. So it's just working together. That's the key factor, and stop spreading the money out.
If I can jump back in right quick. I apologize for dropping the call. But what I was saying is, we need more minds coming together for all the things that I'm working on personally. We need more community engagement, and I think that relies on the groups that I'm working with, as well as trying to get to those communities in an accessible way for those communities. And then really what we need, and this is more on some community activism, as well as some governmental policy stuff, is we need people to be actually putting pressure on these politicians, on these leaders, and organizations to truly work for the people. And that really moves me into the challenges. And these aren't, again, I don't have an organization, but the challenges that we're seeing in the city when it comes to organizations, ideas, and building institutions for and by the people here. Number one, just like LeBron said, is gatekeepers, specifically within the nonprofit organizations. It's a couple at the top that are highly renowned as far as Louisville Metro, as far as the United States goes, and really they're sucking up a lot of the money in the city for those organizations. And then specifically Louisville Metro is injecting Black people that have worked with Louisville Metro into these Black organizations and co-opting thing Black organizations. In turn, what we're seeing is these organizations co-opting grassroots organizing efforts. I'm gonna come real. I see LeBron smiling. I'm gonna come real, bro.
Everybody's nodding. Everybody's nodding with you, bro.
We could be naming names of organizations, but I don't think that's what we're here to do today. You feel what I'm saying? But we know specifically some of these top organizations, the leaders came specifically from the mayor's office and started pushing this gentrification plan, signed on to the Vision Russell plan. And then as we start organizing around these evictions and different things and housing, these organizations come into spaces that they weren't in before to co-opt what we're doing. So, right now, we're trying to say, cancel the rent, stop evictions. These organizations are coming in with rental assistance. Now, yeah, of course, give people money and stop their eviction by making sure they got the money they need. No problem. But what they're doing by that is, one, they're sucking up the funding that would go to housing work. And two, they're doing this in a way that protects the status quo. Giving rental assistance, one, there's not enough rental assistance to stop all the evictions. So that money cannot be pushed around in a way that's going to change anything. Two, all we're doing is upholding the status quo. We're getting funds and paying landlords that are paying banks that are keeping us in the suppressed position that we're in. So I think that gatekeeping mentality, the gatekeeping in systemic ways that is going on in the city is really the biggest challenge for not only everybody on this call, but really for the city in general. And for people to create the community that we're talking about creating. We're going to have to start calling out some of these Black leaders and some of these Black organizations, like my man Rich has already begun to do, like some other people in the community have already begun to do. But we got to be able to do that and make sure that people understand that it comes from a place of love and it comes from a place of community building for the people. And it's going to be hard to have some of those conversations because people truly got love for these people. And I'm not saying none of these individuals are terrible people, but right now they working for the capitalist state. They working for gentrification and they actively working against the West End residents in the city.
And just to add on to what you're saying, Tay, what I call it is, I definitely call it accountability, right? And we got to talk about cause and effect. That's something I'm real good at documenting, what people are supposed to be doing, what hasn't happened, the gatekeepers, everyone know they real now. When I talked about them before, people thought that maybe Richard got cut out the deal and he was upset. But what I was seeing there was a future that was worse for West Louisville. I was seeing a future that was worse for Black people in this community, and that really bothered me on the inside, right? And I'm not into vilifying people as well, but I am interested in vilifying people's ideals, right? And just like we're doing today, Black Ideals Matter. We created this forum because we should have already been introduced to the judge. We should have already been introduced to Compassion Louisville. We should have already been introduced to the power structure of the city. As long as we've been out here doing this work in the community, the white power structure should know LeBron. They should have knew LeBron 5 years ago. They should have knew me 7 years ago. They should have knew you 5 years ago. And the same is true for the other people that's on the call. And until we start, I shared this with Judd earlier. We got to share our white people with each other. We got to share our white people. I'm serious. And
I'm not sure right now.
yeah. We got to share our white people with each other. And just like LeBron was talking about changing the culture, today I think this is one of the first steps in changing the culture, because we got to share our networks with each other, because LeBron put it beautifully, man. Everything we talking about doing, we need to do it all together. I've been saying this for years. The GAP program is not going to save the Black community by itself, but we can. And that makes me think about a scripture. The harvest is plentiful, and the laborers are few.
Laborers are few. Just piggybacking on that, the initiative that we just started, the Feast, is one of those initiatives that we're trying to use to bring everyone together in one space so that we can share those ideas. As we said, right now, it's a group of Black men in Louisville that are coming together to network and bring ideas to the table that one another can help build upon. We do have some challenges right now as far as the education factor. There's some things in our community that we don't know when it comes to businesses, or some paperwork that we don't know about that we need to fill out. So we do need to be more educated. In that room, there is all walks, from people who own a few businesses to people who have just been out of prison for the last couple of years that is trying to get their lives back together and just trying to do something better for themselves. So, and speaking of that, mental illness is rampant in our Black culture. That is something that we need to speak about and have conversations about, especially when it comes to Black men. When we talk about the violence in our community, that is part of it, as well as the economic challenges that we have. We need more therapists to come and sit down with us to talk about how we deal with those changes in life, those traumas, because even coming out of this protest, it's going to be trauma. And speaking of challenges just with the protesters, a lot of those young men are going to have charges. Those young women are going to have charges. That's another systemic challenge that we are going to have to fight in the near future. All of these charges that they have gotten on them through this protest, that is going to hold them back in the future if we don't sit down with some lawyers and some judges on how we right this wrong, because they shouldn't have been out there fighting for things like this in the first place. You know, this is just all wrong, period, when it comes to what has happened throughout all of these protests, to be honest. So we need to talk about that as well. And as far as funding, when it comes to funding, that saying you rob Peter to pay Paul. We can't even rob Peter because we don't have, we don't have that economic,
Right.
those tangibles right now. And it's becoming an issue. Even talking, as Jabril was talking, with West Louisville, it's been that village mentality right now. And everybody has come together to pull resources, what little bit they have to come together to build upon. But at the same time, there's nothing there to pay people. So like he said, everything is free. We have all these talented people, but we can't even pay them for their services because right now no one has the money to pay for an hour session or a 2-hour session, where if you go out to the East End, there's an abundance of money to pay for a 30-minute session. So just the equitable balance, it is off tilted. As far as the feast, like I said, we do feed these men. We are looking for people to either support us with donations or food. We need speakers to come out and educate during those sessions. Whatever knowledge you have that you can bring for us at this time.
So thank you all. We need to do a kind of a checkout closing. And so what would be really helpful is everybody to check out and say what's been really insightful for you that you've been hearing, and what do we want to echo back out to the community. So everybody take about 30 seconds and share something, do a checkout, share something that's been really insightful, and we want to make sure we harvest out to the community. Thanks so much for your ideas and thoughts.
I kind of want to start this off real quick because I just took a couple of bullet points. I did a couple of bullet points, and one of my questions is, who really wants change? Who really wants change? Do you really want change? Because a lot of the situation is people act like they want change, but they don't want change. And that's what's been going on. Rich, they know who we are. They knew me 10, 15 years ago. They knew you 10 years ago. But we were agents that really could create change. The question is, did they really want to make change? Because there's a lot of money in locking people up. There's a lot of money in these drugs that they keep our kids on. It's a lot of money out here being made off the wrongdoings that's going on. A lot of people don't want to correct this. And then Rich, you said something else about sharing the white folks. Definitely. And we also need to share our own resources. And we want to help ourselves before they even try to help us. But then the one thing in these type of forums is coming to these type of forums and finding the real people who can make the change. And we need the real people with the money that won't change. And then that's when things will start changing, because we have the power to make change. So if we put the right people with the money, with the right people like us right here, then we'll start seeing effective change, because everybody on this call I know personally, and everybody on this call can make effective change in the community. And together, we're unstoppable. So the only thing we're really missing, everybody on this call, and everybody can echo it, is financial resources and products and services resources. And we can do whatever we want to do. Let's find a building, let's find a mobile home, let's find ways to help each other out, and we can change this thing, because it's going to take us. And not the same us's that they keep giving the money to, because those people are definitely, it's obvious that they're not helping the us's. All those money stay within their organizations. What we're talking about is reaching out to the community and actually, helping each other out. So I'm done. I appreciate this. Let's keep this going, because it's obviously a lot of information that we need to keep sharing, and a lot of collaborating we need to do.
Ladies, y'all supposed to go first, you remember?
I just feel like, as we said, more conversations. But even with these conversations, there need to be productivity coming out of it. So I want to know, what is the next step? What is the timeline? I'm into seeing progress. So a lot of conversations I don't want to have. Like, I don't have time. I can't get my time back. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of and I know that we have to talk about it before and work things out. but I want to start seeing end results. And I know that I know some are short term and some are long term. So I want to sit down, I want to write those plans out, and I want to get started. I don't want to keep holding conversations. That's my takeaway.
Okay, so I really want to echo what LeBron said about who really wants change. Of course, I'm coming from the educating side, and we have an achievement gap that definitely leads into the wealth gap that we are experiencing. And one of my board members posted a question in a group asking who would support, a Black-owned private school. And the responses were good. I was very excited about what I saw. But then I also heard in the community, well, people aren't going to support it because they don't know you. And I I don't have time for that. I'm here to make this happen for our students, our kids. I'm looking at the data again. If you go to the website, there's a whole piece on the data showing our kids in the West End are experiencing higher suspension rates, right? Now that changed, and I can tell that data changed. So, there was some type of initiative to decrease that number. But when you're suspended and you have chronic absenteeism, which has not descended, that number is really high, your kids aren't being educated. And I'm coming from DC. I'm a former DC teacher, public school and charter school. So I'm coming here with this approach of being very welcoming and understanding what our students go through and the other resources that are needed. We have dealt with equality, and we realize that equality hasn't really gotten us anywhere. Now it's about equity. And I'm focused on educational equity, right? So for me, who does want change? Do we want the change in the community that we are crying for, that we are fighting for, that we're expecting, that we want? Because that requires us to do something and to be open-minded to actually receive the help that we want, right? But then also, who wants change? If you're looking at the community as a whole, are white people going to really come in and support this? Are they going to really come in and realize, like, okay, this is necessary for our entire community? Because you continue to ignore the West End, but the West End and whoever you are ignoring are still part of this community, and you're going to be affected by them one way or another. So this is, we definitely push in terms of how we are approaching this as a stakeholder approach. Everybody is responsible for the education of a child, whether you are a parent, whether you don't have any kids, whether you are from here or not, you are still responsible in one way or another for the education of every child that's in this area. And so that's how we approach it. That's why we're looking for the partnerships and the sponsorships. That's why we're trying to, when we open, we are already prepared to lay out this program, and really wanting to get into the community and build that parent engagement, build that connection to the families, so that all in all, the child is benefited from it.
Our situations are multifaceted. People gotta understand that it is layers that we have to peel back, and it's gonna take a lot of resources to come in and help us to correct some of the problems that has taken shape in the West End. So it's not a one size fit all. It's multifaceted, and it's going to be some work. I just hope everybody has their marathon shoes on. You can't wear flip-flops to this program.
And let me piggyback off that. It's the rapper named Big Sean. He said, we need more help than you all want to give, right? So you just think about how much you want to give, and we need a whole lot more than that. And that's honestly the truth. What I like to share with people is one of the questions that was asked to me years ago is how much social cost is a single murder? There's a study that said a single murder costs our society $5 million. One single murder, that's the social cost. And the truth is, we haven't had $5 million of anti-violence investment for our organizations in 8 years. And you know, people say, hey, well, what are we doing here today? When we have part 2 in 3 weeks from now, what are we doing? And with the help of Judd, I don't know if he knows yet, but we actually laying this at the foot of the faith community. Because we already have plenty of skepticism, legitimate skepticism when it comes to metro government, right? And I would like to be able to lay what the plans that we're doing on the feet of the white faith community and other faith communities and as well.
I'm going to hop in while we lost him. I appreciate all of you. My takeaway from this is that connections are really what make it happen. I'm someone who is not, I'm also not from Louisville, so I don't know a lot of the history in the background. But I am someone that has hands that can work and feet that can walk. So, and I'm looking for places to make that happen, and connections are how that happens. A lot of these initiatives I knew nothing about, even though I am a person who volunteers regularly. I knew nothing about a lot of these. So I think finding those connections of people in the community who are willing to, you know, I'm willing to do the work for free. I just need to find places to do it. So continue doing things like this if you all need encouragement, because this is how you find people like me.
So Tay and John, y'all want to check out?
Yeah.
Watch out what you say. Watch out what you say.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and check out. One of my biggest takeaways is I think we all realize that there's millions of dollars coming into this city right now, not just, you know, through metro government, but through the protests and the activism, and I think we all realize that none of that money is reaching the ground. It's not reaching the communities that it's meant for, and it's getting sucked up and co-opted by these bigger organizations. So I think, you know, one of my big takeaways is we know we need systemic change across the board, from the organizations to the metro government. You know, we need systemic change, and we're gonna have to keep pressing on that in any way that we can. And then number two, you know, I didn't know about a lot of these projects either. I didn't know that there was someone trying to start a private school here. And what I can commit to is just trying to work more with all of these projects. If more people don't know Asa, and that's a barrier for her to start this, then we need to bring in people that are known. And I think me and Jabril are connected to educators in the city as well as hip hop in the city. And I think that could be an asset to her project. Like, I was about to cuss, but I think that could be a huge asset to our project. I want to make sure that, you know, when we do our events, that we're making space for the type of musicians that we already work with, but Jabril and what his mission is specifically, because we're both working in the same lane. So my big takeaway is, you know, I want to commit to working with these projects, and then hoping that we can continue this conversation, because this has not been long enough. And I think that we need to be able to pull some strategy, sit down and start to strategize and start to make those connections in real ways, so that we can hold ourselves accountable so that we're not just having these conversations, but making the shit move as well. I appreciate all y'all. It was great to meet all y'all as well. I got cut off, so I can't get y'all's email addresses. So if somebody can link me with that, I'd appreciate it.
And I got back on here, y'all. So and what I was gonna say in closing was that charity is immediate and justice is long term. I remember when the Office of Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods was created, they said there was a justice position. It's 8 years in. 8 years in, metro government has supposed to be dedicated to the violence in our community. And over the last 5 years, we had 100 murders a year on average. I think it's safe to say that government may be inadequate to deal with the violence in our community. And I know the community is equipped for it. And like I said, stopping the bleeding and how important that is. And today, what I got from being on this call, I don't know about anybody else, but I feel more hopeful knowing what other people are doing. And, you know, people say, hey, Richard, how did your life change? My life changed because I knew people that were doing more than gang banging and selling drugs. I knew people that was doing something in the community. People that was trying to get funding. People that was part of this organization. And that's what we're really trying to create. We're trying to create new experiences for the young people in this community. We don't want them to just be mentored by criminals. We want them to be mentored by community leaders like the people that's on this call.
Thank you. Jabril, you were the last one to check out. I want to give you some time. You're on mute. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the greatest honor. I've been looking forward to this conversation ever since Richard said anything about it. He told me a little bit about the history, you guys' connection with Compassionate Louisville. I was actually involved with the launch of the Interfaith Ministry down at Cathedral of the Assumption back when AMP was being launched as well. I cannot tell you how many times I've walked to that cathedral and cried because of the great love that I've experienced. I've been homeless with my kids. It was that community that fed me, sheltered my family. People I didn't know washed my feet. And so to actively be having these conversations right now means a lot to me. The head cardinal at the Cathedral of the Assumption actually said to me one day, and I'm not trying to brag, but he said, Jabril, I think you can save Louisville. And so to actually be having this conversation with becoming the beloved community, I'm certainly filled with hope and inspiration. I feel very confident. I've always felt very confident if we could bridge the gap of communication between that integral community, that integral philanthropic community of Louisville, then people like Richard, myself, LeBron, all the people on this call, all the great people, men and women in our community that volunteer and do like charity works, really have an opportunity, a chance to really heal the community. So I'm so grateful to be a part of this conversation.
I want to network with everybody. If everybody can inbox or somehow how we can get everybody's number or contact. I have some, but if we can get everybody's contact so we can start collaborating together anyway, this is great.
I'll make it happen, LeBron.
So I just want to, say a deep bow to all of you. One, I'm a social entrepreneur myself, and so I know that's a hard road. It's a much harder road when you don't have the resources to make your dreams happen. And so Interfaith Paths to Peace is committed, along with this beloved community, to highlighting and helping get resources to the folks that are doing amazing work. So let's keep talking. I can see maybe a Black run and owned social entrepreneurial center that has grant funds available and all those kind of resources that people need to live out their vision and passion to change the world. So a deep bow to each of you. We're going to
say that again. What did you call it? What did you call that again?
What did they do that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that.
Organization would love to have that on. I can. We'll be more than happy to take that on. That is exactly what we would love to do.
Yeah, I think that's what needs to happen. You all know what you need, and you have the passion to make it happen. And it's our job now as a community to make that happen. So let's stay in conversation. Again, the next conversation will be on October the 28th. And what I'm hoping we can do, Richard, is just continue to invite Black ideas, Black social innovation, and then invite the white community, invite Community Foundation, invite folks that have resources just to hear and listen, and to be able to be supportive of these ideas. So let's continue to create forums where we can talk and harvest the collective intelligence. So,
hey man, one of the truest things that you said on this call was one of the last statements you said. And that's one thing that's just so true, man. Everybody on this call has one thing in common, and that's passion for what they do, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a passion for what they do.
Yeah, and I feel that, and so thank you for that. I mean, you can't produce that. That's something that comes from
That's right.
inside of us. So we can just harvest it. So. Thank you all, Richard. Thank you, brother. You
Thank you.
are pulling people together and doing the great work. So I want to do a deep bow to you and thanks for your energy. So we'll stay in touch, and thank you all for being here. And October 28th, we'll get back together. And if you have ideas about how we can do this better or how we can create a forum that's better, feel free to share that with Richard as we go forward. Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
I
Peace.
got an idea.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. Appreciate y'all,
Thank
man.
you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Peace.
Love you, Rich. Everybody.
Hey,
Be
man,
cool.
peace.